Okay, my name is MOHAMMAD ALMOMANI. I'll be talking to you for the next 45 minutes, I guess, if I'm lucky, about the key traits and what does make a product team successful or a product manager a super awesome person, that is, you are. Just to get a feel of the audience, how many people here are currently product managers or are going to be applying or engaged at product management level? Oh, brilliant, perfect. Project managers in the house? Engineers, developers? Oh, you're in for a surprise. All right, so I'm originally from Jordan. I work in Dubai remotely, and I recently moved to Ivano-Frankivsk with my beautiful wife and 2 kids. I live in Frankivsk now. I am a partner in a company in UAE, in Dubai. I handle projects, I handle teams, and I also handle products through operational teams that are currently on the ground. Aside from that, I'm also a co-founder of a company here in Ukraine. It's called Active Ukraine. And aside from that, I do trainings. I'm a certified adventure guide. That is what I do outside of work. Canyoning, rappelling, ropes, anything. So this is talk about later. And I have my own startup entrepreneurship. It has more to do with products for disabled people. So talking software products and non-software products for persons with disabilities. So without further ado, we'll get straight, we'll dive into the topic. I have 7 key traits to discuss with you. We'll cover as much as we can today. If at any point of time you want to stop me, ask a question, please do. Furthermore, we'll take the questions to the networking session, and then afterwards for the connection sessions. Now, you definitely have a sort of an expectation. What are we going to talk about today? Product management. It's a very wide topic. The guys are going to be covering more into the technical stuff and agile and outsourcing. The angle we're tackling it today for the next 45 minutes is from an interpersonal perspective. So people's perspective. How do you as a product manager can handle the pressure, can handle the team, can handle the product itself, and so, along with your team. Moving it from blah to blossom. So basically, this is a session where we challenge a lot of things that are out there. Starting by the first one, what is the key role of a product manager? Tell me, what do you think is the key thing that a product manager is responsible for? Listens. Well, I didn't hear who said that, actually. Okay, so he listens. What else? Let's talk about job role and, let's say, skills. Organize. He's organized. He listens. What else?
Influence other people.
Influence. Brilliant.
Creativity.
He's creative. He creates. He manages. What else?
Plan.
What about the skills? Plans. So we plan, organization. The sharing the responsibilities. Thank you. We have a very active speaker.
Great communicator.
He's a great communicator. Brilliant. Thank you. What about the other skills that are more related, that are less related to management, more related to the functional areas? What do you think?
Problem solver.
Problem solving. How many of you has a technical background? Development, software. All right, design, business analysts. Okay. So do you think a product manager should have those as well?
Yeah, a bit of each.
So a bit of most. He's basically a hero without a cape. A lot of the definitions have it as a visionary person, a value-focused project manager. You have this, a value-focused design, a value-focused architecture, a value-focused product. So there's a lot of things that are going towards value. And whereas value, there is also importance. He's a good team manager, he's a marketing expert, he's a client servicing enthusiast, he's a tech savvy, he's a marketeer, he's a leader, he's a design and UX slick. He should be able to call the things that are not going to work with the product. And he's also a planner, a strategist, as you mentioned. He's a communication professional. He's a branding advocate. He's a people's person. So he's a lot of things. A product manager is a lot of things. Basically, he is the jack of all trades. Yeah, do you agree? He is the jack of all trades, master of a lot of them. He has to know about planning, has to know about team, has to know about people management, has to know about a little bit about marketing, maybe a little bit about design, UX, client servicing, project management, dealing with partnerships, mitigating risks, initiating, transferring the vision into requirements. Hell, a lot of things, right? Okay, so he's the jack of all trades. He's the coordinator, leader, and facilitator for all the cross-functional team. He's considered the expert. So, he's the reference. When anybody of the team or any member of the team has any question about the product or the market, who does he go to? The product manager. When they have a challenge, a product manager. When the client is not happy or happy, it doesn't happen that often, they go to the product management. When the upper management is happy or again not happy, who do they go to? The product manager again. So he's basically the advocate for everyone. And he is the advocate for his own customer. He is that, and focus on this, he is that obnoxious client number 0 for your own product. Which means that he is the person who decides whether this product is ready to roll, to ship and shop, or it stays in-house. And he should be, this keyword, obnoxious. The development team can work overnight with a very nice design and very nice UX. Some of the features are not working. For them, it might not be a big deal. For the product manager, he could easily raise a red flag and says that doesn't go out, and it doesn't go out. So he calls the shots, and he should be focused on that quality. And he is the essential part of the show. I want you to watch this video. Maybe not the best choice of music in the morning. This piece is called Melody. I'm sure you know the conductor, Miroslav Skorak. He's Ukrainian. He's performing in the Philharmonic in Ivano-Frankivsk actually, but this is not. This is one of his pieces, but the conductor is Milano or something. Okay, we'll keep this playing and we'll talk a little bit. Who do you think is the most important player in this orchestra? Who is the single person that you cannot replace?
The budget owner.
Super. Okay, so let's say we have a budget and we have money, but we don't have a band. Can we play? So again, who do you think is the most important key player in this orchestra? Who is the person that you cannot replace, basically? That if he goes out, everything stops. The guy with the sticks, the conductor, the maestro. Think of this example. Think of the conductor as the product manager. He is the person who is conducting and who is facilitating, making a harmonical, musical piece of cross-functional teams. You have the violinist, you have the people who are playing the flutes, you have the people who are, I don't know, playing the piano or anything, and all of this is noise until it's put together all in one piece and orchestrated properly. So there you go, someone who's facilitating cross-functional teams. Let's talk a little bit more. The tools. This is part of the orchestra, and this is part of your team's tools as well. So we're trying to relate a little bit the orchestra to product management, and so we connect to the role of the conductor. So let's say you have the audience. He is the first person who cheers the audience. He reads the feedback and then he turns, he thanks his team, and he starts his magic. We also have the manuscript, the notes, which is basically the documentation of your product. The plan, the backlog, the product log. If you notice, even the people who compose the music, they have that paper in front of them as the conductor, and they keep flipping. They know it backwards. They don't look at it, and they play, and they keep flipping, and they play, and they keep flipping. They're delivering a message that everyone has the same reference. Everyone should stay on message. Even if you know it backwards, everyone should stay in message. Now imagine, if you please, that with product management, and especially with the agile methodology, and especially when you're rolling out products outside to the market, you're playing and orchestrating a piece where the notes change every now and then. That is a very challenging role. Yeah? So if the musicians are not in sync, this will become noise. And then it will fail. And then the customers will boo you out. Okay? What do you think this represents? Definitely not higher management. PR. This is an addition. Imagine your orchestra playing, and then you add an opera singer, or you add somebody who dances. So again, your role is to orchestrate and make sure that this goes in sync with the sound and with the people dancing. Those are other products that you need to synchronize and integrate with. Super? Dobre? Okay, so we basically have the orchestra is your show. As a product manager, you orchestrate, and you are the maestro of your own product. You just stand there, you have your documentation, you make sure everything is happening according to the plan. If it changes, you change, and then the team plays along well. The most important result is to stay in tone, in sync, and of course enjoy the show and have your customers enjoying the show and dancing. Okay, moving on.
This is the interesting point. If you're trying to manage all the stakeholders, you get crazy because there's too many of them. There's a day-to-day development team, and sales, and promotion, and everyone. So, I mean, how do you not get crazy with so many stakeholders?
Okay, now you have your cross-functional teams. We're going to come back and talk about stakeholders. You have the cross-functional teams. I'm going to do an exercise just to answer your question. Let's say this part is number 1, and this part is number 2. So once I do this, you clap once. This or this. Okay? Now let's try it. Okay, tick, 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 tick. Again. Okay. And then eventually it becomes a rhythm. Yeah? And so I could just do this, and then I can hold back, and it'll keep going. Tit, 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 tit. So basically, once you create a business flow, you have a process in motion, everybody is in sync, you could just step back, let the teams function, and you just monitor and pay more attention to your other stakeholders. So the first part of the product management, when the product's still being verified and kicked off, this is where you're needed the most. For communication, for verification, for making sure everything is happening according to the plan. But after a while, you should let go and get the teams working in harmony. Once you do that, you'll have more free time to do other tasks as well, because managing the team is a full-time job by itself. Cool? Okay. So, moving on, we talked about understanding the specifics of the role, which is basically now most of the things that we're discussing. The second of all, understanding that responsibility doesn't mean authority. Who thinks a product manager is basically a mini CEO? All right, sounds fancy. Most of the companies actually do that. when they sell a product management role? It's a mini CEO. 70-80% of Google first results agree with you. So if you go and type what is a product manager, 70 to 80% of the results is he is a mini CEO. Actually, Wikipedia has the same approach, referred to as the CEO of the product. Now, let's think about it. If we say that the product manager is the CEO, can you hire or fire people? Can you invest more?
Yes.
You as a product manager from your own pocket without verifying it.
No, you
So
can ask.
if you cannot hire or fire people and you cannot invest more and a lot of other things that the CEO can do that you can't, can you avoid the blame? Can you blame someone if your product doesn't sell as a product manager?
Sales.
Right?
There's a lot of blame that goes around if it doesn't sell. But who is the responsible for that if the product doesn't meet the customer requirement? Come on, let's face it, the product manager. He's the one who's being held responsible, I'd say. Okay? So a mini CEO basically means that you have actually, a mini CEO means that you're a CEO. But what it actually means in product management, that you have 100% of the responsibility, 0% of the authority. Okay? Does your developers report back to you? Engineers? Do they report back to you? Or they report back to the engineering department and their technical team lead? The marketing, do they report back to you? Marketing, sales, do they answer to you? No? How about design, UX? So basically, you're a CEO, but you don't have authority. So good luck with that.
Stop delivery budget.
Yeah.
It's the major authority.
You have full responsibility for delivering, but you have very limited authority on the team. Yet, you need...
You do not have influence on the way, but you have authority to stop any delivery and return back to redevelop it.
I would say it's the other way around. You can influence, you can convince people that this is not working, yeah, and bring it back to development. So you have authority over your own product, not over the people around you. But how can I get authority? Where are the sources where I can gain my own authority as a product manager?
Well, reputation.
Off the top of your head, I have 10 already. Expertise, being the expert.
Being likable.
Being
a people person.
Yeah, being a people person. If people like you, they'll work. A lot of people in companies work just because they have good teams.
Successful record.
Yeah.
Record, experience, yeah. So knowing your product, your market, your team, and your competitors, these are the first 4 things that if you have that knowledge, you're considered the reference, and therefore you have authority. Practicing responsibility, passion for your own product, interpersonal skills, and being influential, also parts of what can help you gain more authority. You need the authority. And this is how you can get it. If no one's giving it to you, you need to own it. Now you cannot impose power. This doesn't work, especially with the quick teams and quick deliverables. You cannot impose, you cannot invoke power. You need to earn it. So we're talking about passion. If your passion is for your product, people will see it. And they'll enjoy your passion for your own product. If you're being responsible, if you're being on time, sticking to your plans, not talking the talk and talking the walk, but actually walking the walk, okay? People will feel that you're responsible and start answering to you, being influential, having plans and priorities that you own. So actually, the plans are yours. The priorities, you come up with it with the team, but at the end of the day, you define your own priorities. And by delegating and empowering your team, especially the seniors in the team, when you're working directly with them, you will have your own authority over these teams. So basically, and there are more. Basically, these are 10 ways to gain authority if it's not given to you on a job description. Cool? All right, moving swiftly on. So number 3, avoid efficiency killers. So we talked about responsibility and authority. We talked about the job rules. Efficiency killers. Now, how many of you look like this some days? Every day? Every day? Yeah. Okay. Being in product management can present a challenge every single day. Be it your team, your own management, your customer, your product. Things are not going according to the plan. A lot of things to freak out from. Okay? So, a lot of things that you could do to keep up the morale. You're the safety valve. If you burn out, if you start stressing, if you start freaking out, this is contagious. Then your team starts freaking out, and they start not paying attention, and they start getting on the loose. If you are not committed as a product manager, your team will reflect the same. If you don't pay enough attention for your product, no one else will. And so, we'll talk here about 3 or 4 key efficiency killers, and then we will discuss more afterwards. The first one is feature creep. This is what happens when people overdo innovation. You know, when you're starting your product, or when you start rolling it out, you have this huge, nice vision of your product. And you start drilling down features. How about this, this, this? You start with a list of 3, 4 key features, and then overnight, they become like 30, 40, 50, 60. They start piling up. A lot of nice features. This is good to have. This is very important. All of these are crucial features. Now, does this happen or not? A lot of features that are being introduced by your team, by your management, by your customer, by your own self. You think and think and think, and you start piling up features. The more you pile up your queue or your product log, okay, the more it will start killing your efficiency if not managed and prioritized properly. So, avoiding feature creep does basically mean that not every day you have a new feature. That is, okay, let's forget about the rest. Let's do this. This looks nice. Ooh, this is very cool. Let's do that. I have 10 other new ideas. They all will work. I know my customers will love them. Let's do it. Okay? Avoid it being the feature creep. This is number 1. Number 2 is too many meetings. Actually, with the Agile and Scrum, they have a stand-up 10, 15 minutes meeting every day. Okay? But that's a stand-up meeting, and it's called the stand-up meeting for a reason. People get tired after 10, 15 minutes, they just want to go. But how many times were you in a meeting, I'd say, internal, external, and you were just thinking, what am I doing here? A lot of times.
Every single day.
It could be the major time killer, being in a meeting where you don't belong. So, avoid long meeting. Avoid, and this is a key message, avoid gathering your team to talk, just for the sake of talking. I don't have anything now. Let's just get in a meeting and I'll tell you a very nice story about the product. Where is it going and the vision and everything. So I'll just talk, and that'll help me practice my authority. And that'll help me become have a clear vision of my product. We're just bouncing back ideas. You have a couple of developers in the room who just want to get out. They have a lot of job to do. So please avoid too many meetings. The third one is, I'll help you read that, is perfection. Perfection could be an efficiency killer. Know what are the most important things to roll out your product, your minimum viable product. Sometimes perfection, and often, can become an efficiency killer and a time waster. So, sometimes good enough is excellent. Roll it out. You'll have more and more time to do as many iterations, as many customization as possible. Okay? So when it's good enough, roll it. You reach a stage in development, UX, design, software development, anything. You reach a stage that the more time you waste there, you'll stay at the same level. It's not necessarily going up. If you're lucky, it'll stay on the same level, not go down. So, and I've seen this happening. People have a good enough product, they try to make it a little bit better, and then it crashes. Just because they wanted to change something to optimize the page load by 1/100th of a millisecond. Okay? So avoid perfection when it becomes a time waster. And another efficiency killer is not being able to say no. You'll feel a lot of pressure being a product manager. Everybody's coming to you with questions. Everybody is presenting nice and cool ideas. Everywhere you go, you will talk about your product. And every single person you talk to will have an opinion on your own product. They'll tell you, this will work, this will not work. You are the product manager, and you should be able to say yes and as well say no. You don't need to do it just because your competitor did it. You don't need to do it just because 1% of your customers said, I'm not happy with that. Well, this is my product. I can adjust later, maybe if like 10 or 15% need that. You need to do it because now you think as a judgment that this is better. You come back to the company and you say, okay guys, last night I had an epiphany. I was sitting, we had dinner, I had my neighbors. The nephew of my neighbor mentioned a very good idea that could work for our product. And my dog agrees. And so let's do that. Okay? So this should stop. Know when to say yes and when to say no. Apple has perfected that. When to say yes and when to say no. This is why Apple has its own enforced user experience. So basically, meaning to say yes or no can really affect the way your product is being developed, can really affect the process, the efficiency. Here they mentioned, do not mix joy or do not mistake joy for convenience. If you feel this is working now as a product manager and you're 100% convinced, don't come the second day and say, yeah, but this is much better than what I was thinking yesterday. And then the third day, change your mind again and again and again and again. You learn to say no. The first person that you need to say no to is your own self. If you feel that you're bending out of shape, you're contradicting your own plans, stop yourself, take a step back, reevaluate, and then start introducing things one thing at a time. Okay. Moving on, for successful product managers, we talked about the roles, we talked about the responsibility and authority, we talked about how to avoid efficiency killers, and now we're going to talk about communicating assertively. What do you think communicating assertively mean? Now this is the closest translation, naporosto. But I was told that this is not necessarily means assertive, but I'll explain to you a little bit what does it mean to communicate assertively. And this works for your internal team as well as for your customers, for your managers, and everybody in between. Communication, if you want to put it, it's a very broad topic, but we're going to talk about 3 ways to communicate. You have the passive, assertive, and aggressive. So 3. So we're talking about 3 ways. Passive communication is where you finish all your sentences with a question mark. You're not really confident. You don't know if it will work or not. So you come to your functional leaders and you'll tell them, I want to add this product feature. I don't know. What do you think? You know, just forget it. Or you go to your managers and say, we had a very good release. I think so. It might work. My client would love it, most probably. Okay? So we're talking here about a very passive way of communicating. This is where you finish your sentences with a question mark. This will reflect a lack of self-confidence. Talking passively or avoiding communication, this is passive way of communication. The second, or the far extreme, on the second part, is aggressive. This will work, that's it. Don't discuss it. It should happen this way. I'm a product manager. I have like a lot of years of experience. I don't know, maybe 5, 6 still. Okay, so this is the aggressive way of communicating. Avoid both and be assertive. What does it mean to be assertive? It basically means that you finish your sentences with a full stop. We have released this iteration for the product, and I'm pretty confident that my client will like it. It answers all the challenges that he was facing. Being assertive, delivering a very clear message, straight on, don't go around. Know what you want to tell them. Assertiveness comes when you're confident enough in your own product and your own work. And you know the message that you want to communicate. So you are assertive. People will like that. People will respect that. You are clear. You're not hesitating and you're not yelling at them. So communicate assertively. Moving swiftly on, knowing the secrets for harmonious teams. And I like this word, harmony, harmonious. It makes people work in collaboration. I'm being flagged that I have 5 minutes. Do they have 20? Okay. So knowing the secrets for harmonious team management.
Bring cookies.
First of which, oh yeah, bring cookies. Food always works. I don't know about your culture, but if a product manager brings food to the company, he's a winner. So keeping responsibilities where they belong. This is very important. And in other words, I'm saying here, delegate. Do not do what everyone can do. Do only the things that you only can do. I go again. Don't do the things that anybody can do. Do the things that only you can do. Keeping responsibilities and decisions where they belong, keep it there. If it's a question about technology, give it to the technical people. If it's a UX case, if it's a design case, give it to those people. If it has something to do with I don't know, marketing, sales, give it to those people. Keep your responsibilities where they belong. Delegate. Now you delegate the responsibility, you don't delegate the liability. In other words, that you can ask your technical lead to take that decision and go ahead. At the end of the day, if it works, fine. If it doesn't work, you will be the one to blame. Which is not a fair game, but this is that. So keep responsibilities where they belong. Number 2, ensure that everyone is on message. You have a clear product. You have, let's say, a nice vision that you broke down into requirements, feature, user stories, whatever you want to drill it down to. Okay? You need to make sure that every single person in the team knows all the specifics and are on message. They are all being synced to the same message, so everybody shares the responsibility and shares the same passion for the product. Balance between praise and pressure. That is a very important thing for product managers, because you could easily go to your team member if something doesn't work and tell, this is your fault. I told you this wouldn't work. Even if you didn't tell him, maybe you imagined that wouldn't work and you didn't tell him. But people find it easy to go ahead and pressure other people. Okay? Now this could work for some time, but you need to balance it with praise. Now if somebody does, am I allowed to say shitty? I think I did. if somebody has done a very crappy job, I'd say, okay, so you can cut that part, you can go and yell at them. And this is very easy to do. We do it by nature, yeah? It's the circle of yelling. Your boss yells at you, you go at your employees, and then they go yell at their, I don't know, kids, they yell at their teachers, whatever, okay? So people find it easy to go ahead and pressure people. Just as well, make sure you praise them. So if somebody does a good job, even if it's their own job, and they're supposed to do it, go ahead and tell them thank you. A job well done. You have saved me. All right? So make sure you balance those two. Don't forget praise. This is very important, and it can help your authority. And the most important topic of the day, making sure your engineers are happy. Okay? Now, a lot, if not most, of product managers in the software industry come from technical background. Whether it is related to development or related to design or any relevant technical topic, you have some sort of technical background or not, but you're dealing directly with engineers. Okay? Now, you need to make their lives easier. You've been an engineer before, and you have dealt with product managers or project managers and CEOs. Now, you're a product manager. You have switched to the other side. Now you're the man or the woman, as you say. You can see the big picture, and then your self-confidence starts bubbling up. You are now the force of the company, and you are now being part of that force that is going with the customer. I'm with the customer now. I'm being called to business meetings. I'm meeting with the management. We're discussing vision. We're discussing big topics. Yeah? While the engineers are sitting down and doing their job. Okay? Now this can bubble up, bubble up, and you can start pissing off your engineers. Now how does that do? Do you do it intentionally? I doubt it. I doubt it that you want to take some kind of revenge for your engineers, because you've been an engineer all your life almost. Okay? So I don't do that intentionally, yet I think I'm pissing them off. Okay? How could that possibly be? There are 5 ways you can piss off your engineers on a daily basis without noticing. And they always say that a successful product manager is the one who's getting the less hatred from the engineers themselves. Okay? So the first thing is being mysterious. Now skip the text and I'll talk about it. The first thing is being mysterious. What you think, here we'll talk about assumption and we'll talk about reality. What you can think as a product manager, I'm not intentionally being mysterious, but my engineering, my developers, they're busy. They're doing coding all day and they're enjoying it. I don't need to bombard them with vision and product features, added value and design and market. They like what they're doing. So I don't need to make it harder for them explaining it as a business. Talking to the people is torture for them. Well, guess what? In reality, the more your engineers is involved into the product vision itself, the more they connect to the business value for your customers, the better job they do. Every single feature they're working on developing, if they have the end in mind, if they have the vision of the product, it will help them do a much better job in it. And you collect your engineers. Now we want to develop a new feature. You come the second day, and there is a new feature, and they come the second day. There are 3 very important new features, and we're doing amendments for the second 2 that we just did yesterday. okay? And you keep talking and talking and talking and talking. For people, this is really a piss off because they're engineers, they're scientists, they're into code, and they. What you can do in reality, talking doesn't harm, but you need to put it in a documentation. Show me a plan that has everything that you're talking about, and that plan should have all these features that you just mentioned, prioritized, make my life easy, and then I'll go and continue work. Don't come to me, as I'm an engineer, don't come to me and tell me, this is more important than whatever you're working on now. I cannot deal with this on a daily basis. So please make sure you avoid this just for the sake of talking, because every day can be joyful when you have a new feature or when you have a new addition to your product. It makes your day. It makes you happy. Now it makes them miserable because they already have work and they have products, features piling up that they need to develop. Number 3, explaining how to do it. Now you think to yourself, I've been an engineer for some time. I know how to do this thing. You tell me 3 days, I can finish it in 3 hours. I'm a developer, I know how this is done. And you should do it like this, and that. And this what can kill the motivation. Tell people what to do or how to do it. Do not do both. If you tell people what to do and how to do it, you don't need them. So stick to whatever your responsibility is, telling them what to do. Figuring out the how, leave it for the technical people. Hoarding credit, how could it be possibly a piss off? So basically you're a product manager. You're the conductor. You're always in the picture. When the managers want to thank someone, they thank you. When the customer wants to praise someone, they praise you. When your product succeeds, you are the one being at the front seat, celebrating. Now this, trust me, wouldn't work if you didn't have a very, very, very strong engineering team. Now make sure you pass that praise and thank them as well, and don't hoard all the credit. Number 5 is throwing blame. Basically, when the product doesn't work, it's very easy. There's a lot of finger pointing going around, okay? It might be a technical issue. It might be a business issue. Even if it's a technical issue and it has to do something with the coding, go back and review what has happened. Sit down with them. Things doesn't work, sit down with them. Talk. Maybe you were bombarding them with a lot of new features, new features, new features. I want to add this very small feature. Now this will require an architecture redesign. Yeah? And they will still, if you push for it, they would do it. Now it can kill your product, okay, if you don't prioritize it properly. And you cannot blame them. So don't throw blame haphazardly on your developers. Moving on, I'm gonna do it very quickly now. For the stakeholders, what are the major stakeholders for product manager? Just tell me.
Market, sales.
You have marketing, sales. The?
Chief Strategic Officer.
Yeah, that's enough from the speakers. Yeah. Key stakeholders. Who are the most important stakeholders for you as a product manager? Customers. Yeah. We have cross-functional teams already mentioned. What else? The? Investors, yes. Investors, very important stakeholder. Who else? Everyone outside. Your competitor. Your competitor is a very important stakeholder. Okay? Your client, your management, your cross-functional team, everyone. Now, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Mendel's matrix. Basically, it has 2 axes. One is power. The second one is interest. So, if your stakeholder has a high level of interest and a high level of power, they are key players. You need to engage them. Here comes the people who have high power over your product and high interest. Okay? And this goes, let's say, for your key customers. If you're developing agile and you're going to a key customer who has a very good power, basically you can say that your product works or not. And if they're highly interested, you need to engage them. Here goes the high interest with low power. So these are the people who are interested in your project. You need to make sure that you keep them involved. Here is category C, the high power but no interest. Who can have a high power on your product but not very interested?
CFO.
CFO, investor, higher management. They can shut down your product. Okay? They might not be interested in it, though these you need to keep satisfied. It could go as simple as constant reporting, making sure everything is going on progress and making them feel safe on their investment. Number 7, developing a collaborative winning go-to-market strategy. One key message that you should understand as a product manager, that shipping your product doesn't necessarily mean shopping. You don't shut down after you ship. Everybody's excited. There is a celebration. There is a lot of morale that is being put at the day that we push that release up or goes out. Okay? So we finally have had our first minimum viable product that is going to the market. Okay? Now what usually happens after this stage? Everybody's like, okay, we're done, let's go home. Yeah, relax. Burnout. Now this is where you're essentially needed, because this is where the work actually does start again. You're going out. It doesn't mean you have already shopped. It means you shipped but not shopping. So basically it doesn't mean that anybody has bought your product yet. So you still need to go and validate and come back and do feedback and do another iteration, work with marketing, work with sales, do the reporting, monitor the market, the revenues, everything, the performance. So a lot of the work happens after you release. And this is a very good expectation to set with your team early on, that after we release, guys, a lot of job that's still coming. This is not a celebration. Just when they tell you, if you finish high school, you're done. And then bam, 4 years of university. I'm taking calculus again. Okay? So basically, you should know that shipping doesn't necessarily mean shopping, and you don't get an A for effort. Nobody will tell you, oh man, you did a very good job. Your product didn't sell, but we're really proud of you. You'd never hear that. Even if you sleep, even if you camp at the company, and you have all your team working day and night, if your product doesn't sell, or if it doesn't satisfy your customer, you don't get a credit. Now, you might have done your homework, everything that you could have possibly done, but if your customer is not happy, you don't get a credit. I'm going to talk about here 6 key factors for going to market, and maybe we could discuss it later on. First of all, prioritize feature rollouts. When you decide to go to market, early on, decide what is my minimum viable product. What are the essential key features that I need to roll out first, and how does my next and next and next iteration look like? Make sure you develop this in phases. It will make you comfortable. If you have around, 10 key features, make sure in your plan you account for these 10. So let's say we develop now 4, 5, we roll them out. For me to feel better, I will already plan for feature number 6, 7, and 8, 9 and 10 to come later, but I'll have them in the plan. So what are the prioritized features that you want to roll out? Market segments and penetration. When it comes to product managers and entrepreneurs, they have a lot of good ideas. And for them, if you talk to any entrepreneur, they'll tell you that we will go out, give me a couple of months, I will dominate the market. Not this market, regional. I'm going regional with this. I'm going global with this. Okay? Now I don't have one product. I have a lot of good ideas, and I'll work in them in parallel. One of them will be my $1 million idea. I'll have my return on investment in the first year. Second, third, fourth, fifth year is going to be pure profit. This is how they can sell it to the investors. Well, everybody knows now that this might not be the real case. So basically, When we talk about the market segments and penetration, decide. These are the product 1, 2, and 3, and this is the segments 1, 2, and 3. So you go for the first product, you penetrate market 1, 2, and 3. By the time you have your second product, you already have access to 3 market segments, so you can sell it. Don't go multiple products with multiple segments. And have it segmented properly and create your own personas. Make sure you sync with the sales and marketing team, and this goes for the product marketing kits as well. Make sure your marketing and sales is being aligned since day 0. Don't come to them a couple of days before you roll out and say, okay guys, we're ready. We're going to be ready in 2 days. Figure it out. How are we going to roll out? Make sure you have your product kits ready. That goes for your product sheets, the videos, the motion graphics, how you call it, promo videos, infographics, any kind of marketing tool that you want. People tend to remember more of what they see than what they hear, actually. Okay, you can easily pitch your product to anyone, to your customers. So make sure when we talk about here about product marketing kits, that includes creative work, product sheets, infographics, motion graphics, anything that you think will sell. And make sure you align your work with the sales and marketing here. Don't let them sell something that you don't have. Because otherwise, the customer is going to come back and ask for it. And this is just a rule of thumb. Marketing and communication strategies, activation. So when we roll out, what does the activation phase involve? So when we want to go out, you have 3 types of channels. You have the owned, earned, and paid. The owned channels is basically your communication channels. That goes for your portal. That goes for your direct customers. That goes for your, social media channels. Any channels that you own. Earned are the channels that people can feature you at. So let's say somebody writes a press release about you, or they feature a blog, or they tell other people about it. This is earned. And paid is basically where you invest your own cash to sell your own product. Okay? So make sure you have a clear activation strategy from the day you roll out further. Okay? And last but not least is the packaging tactics. Once you finish with the development, before you go to the market, there is a gray area that every product manager should focus on. Now you're not with the engineers and you're not yet at the higher management. So this is your job. This is essentially your job. Making sure all what I have developed can be packaged nicely and sold to my customers. So you decide that this product goes in this way with this price, and these features will be included. Now for packaging, I just want to mention something here. Usually they advise, if you're going with an open product for people to purchase, you go to the websites and you want to buy a product. How many offers do you usually find? On average, let's say you want to buy hosting.
From 1 to 3.
1 to 3, perfect. 1 is Apple style. We have this, take it or leave it. This is Apple style, that obnoxious, arrogant, very nice style. Okay? 2 is a killer. Because if you offer to your customers 2 different packages, what would they want? To go for something in the middle. Now I want this, but I don't want to pay as much. And this would fit somewhere in the middle. Find me something in the middle, a middle ground. So usually you should go with, if you're going out with packages, go with 3 offers. Now there is a very nice technique that is used in marketing. It's called the decoy effect. Now let's say you want to buy a watch. There is a very nice watch, has a lot of good features, triple sensors, for around $150. Okay? And there is a basic enough watch for around $50 that could tell the time. That's it. Okay? So you have one product for $150 and one product for $50. Okay? You have 2. One is basic, one is with nice features. If your budget is $100, what will you go for? What will you be leaning more towards? It's confusing, right? Okay, now let me introduce a new scenario. Let's say there is a third watch for $200 that has even more cool features. What will that drive you towards? The one in the middle, the 150. The sole purpose, this is called the decoy effect. The sole purpose of the third most expensive feature or package or watch in this case is to make you settle for something in the middle. This is what I want to sell. I want to sell the one for the 150. Now you think 50 is too cheap, now 200 is too expensive, but there's something in the middle. I can still pitch in another $50 and buy the one in the middle. So the sole purpose of the third package is to bring you to the middle one. That's it. That is the decoy effect, they call it. Okay, I'm done for today. Remember, it's all about winning games. So no matter what happens in this iteration, no matter what happens during the development time until you launch, all you want to have is you want to end up in a place or at a place where you're still in the game. You can still roll out more features, more products, more products. You don't want to get out of the game. So make sure you're always in the game. And for today, for the rest of the day, we have around, 100 people? We almost have 100 people with an average of 5 years of experience, I'd say, more or less. Average? 5, okay. And you have additional speakers, so let's say 5 times 100. That's 500. Yeah? 500 years of experience in one room. That is 5 decades, half a century. Add to that the speakers, you get yourself another, I don't know, a few more 10 years. Yeah? You have access for today only to over 500 years of experience at one place. Now make sure you use that. Make sure you network today. Network is key for product manager. You'll find people who has faced a lot of challenges, who's dealing with teams, who's dealing with products, who can be potential buyers. Okay? So make sure you use that, and any questions we'll take out in the networking session and in the breakout sessions. In the breakout session, I'm going to be talking about today a little bit about how to create, hopefully, if I still get my session, how to create an excuse-free environment at your job. That's it from me for today. Thank you very much for listening, and have a good day.